Welcome everybody! It's Friday!
Yay!
Let's go!
Let's go!
So we're doing something different today. We are talking about comedy, human relationship, and what writers and artists need to understand to make good writing by delving into some criticism of work that we just recently saw. I watched a Looney Tunes HD revamp on HBO Max that I was curious if I would find to be funny, and the only thing that I can get from any value of the episode was that it was very nostalgic, but I think it's really dated, meaning that if it were shown today, it's a really weak piece of writing that can be really offensive and even put people down. In many cases, our progressive society inviting and allowing participation from minorities will be basically at a loss. So we need to stay away from continuing to make this work, which is the slapstick, cliche humor that needs more substance. What do you think, Chris? You are a big fan of Looney Tunes, and we've always watched cartoons. Simpsons, Futurama, Rick and Morty. What do you feel?
Well, back in the 90s, my very first cartoon was the Looney Tunes. And yeah, it was funny when I was a kid. But when you rewatch it now, especially on HBO Max, you kind of seem like it's not funny anymore. And yeah, cultures like, let's say, Speedy Gonzales. Back in the day, I find it funny with yeah, Lima. But then apparently I heard if you do that a lot, some Spanish people might take it offensive and be like, okay. Which I don't understand why, but yeah. They might take it very offended.
In Hispanic cultures, when they say arriba and andale, it's a very disrespectful way to communicate that you want something done quickly. And a lot of American citizens would really believe that that's a natural way to speak and that it's not offensive, but it's very stereotyped and may even put people of different ethnic groups, especially the Hispanic community, to be isolated and not included within a thinking society that has a lot of intellect and a lot to offer. So thank you, Chris, for bringing Speedy Gonzales, because his character has a lot of potential. I think many people were actually talking about how his character can change and really bring more audiences in a more articulate way. And that's through substance and story, and allowing him to have breakthroughs, vulnerabilities, but essentially growth. I don't want to watch the same Speedy Gonzales that was in the 90s. Was it the 90s or the 80s?
I think the 90s.
Or early 90s. I want to know that he grew up and he has this maturity about him that is acceptable in this modern day society. And look at Rick and Morty, that's a lot of humor that actually is still offensive, but it's growing into another breed that's acceptable within this generation that they call millennials. And yeah, we have to be progressive if we want to satisfy the demand of this entertainment industry. It's very competitive. And speaking of Looney Tunes, the new Space Jam 2.0.
Yeah, Space Jam: A New Legacy. Hopefully it's funny, because if you watch the Space Jam first one back in '96, yeah, it was funny, especially when if you watch the beginning, you see Michael Jordan being pulled from the real world through
A vortex.
of a golf course,
Yeah.
through a golf hole, and he'd been pulled by Yosemite Sam, and basically you don't know why, but then the Looney Tunes want him to help him. If you watch the movie, beat these aliens in basketball, which he doesn't play basketball anymore. But what's kind of funny was when he came down, Porky Pig wants his autograph, and he wants his Johnny Hancock.
Yeah. I smiled at that still.
Yeah, it's still, yeah, so, yeah, hopefully it's the same writers, but I do miss some of the old cast. I don't know why they take some of the old cast, but yeah, I hope LeBron James has that same character like Michael Jordan did back in the 90s. So yeah, can't wait to watch the movie later this year.
Stoked. And I think that's why they made that power move to really bring back the Looney Tunes, especially for those that haven't been introduced to that or exposed. It's a really good bridge to knowing each and every character and their sort of origin stories. But that's exactly what it is that these relationships are really important when it comes to writing a story that provides value for its audiences. And that is also a key component with whether or not this will stay on the air. You'll hear the phrase pilot. Pilots were originally conceived just to be a sort of sample and see where the audience ratings will place it. And believe it or not, most TV shows don't actually make it, and they end up canceling within the first episode the pilot.
Yeah, since you bring that up, Mikhail, I know you like Game of Thrones, but when you refer me to the watching it, I didn't even get through the first pilot. I got halfway and I fell asleep. So yeah, since you brought that up about canceling shows, I already canceled myself watching that.
So that's a testament to know your audience and know who is going to watch this. That's why if you make content on YouTube, people, they make mistakes and they fail, and then they realize that people are looking for specific stories, specific ideas that get them subscribed to wanting to watch even more.
Like, for example, if you guys haven't watched Raised by Wolves, you need to watch that now. If you get through the pilot, you're gonna like the whole season and episode. But yeah, Raised by Wolves, watch it.
And I think a film like that, I mean, it's really good, but to allow it to release in a time during a pandemic where everyone feels that it's the end of the world and people have to reflect, consider technology where it's gotten us, this really shows a possibility. And it is science fiction, but a lot of science fiction as well as movies and stories predicted the outcomes of a lot of events. Look at Back to the Future. Hoverboards. Okay, there's no hoverboards, but they're fake. But they predicted that the Chicago Cubs would actually win the World Series, which was the wrong date. So a lot of people lost a lot of money. It was, I think, a couple years after that date. So it wasn't completely or entirely accurate, but it still showed the potential that anything is possible. You just gotta believe.
And not only Back to the Future, but they also said The Simpsons also predict the future, and they were almost 100%. Especially with Donald Trump, and now I don't know if they made an episode with Joe Biden, but I won't be surprised if they made the episode already ahead of our time, and then when we get to that time, we're like, damn, the Simpsons were right. How did they predict that's gonna happen? So
there's a whole weird conspiracy or theory that the writers or people involved in making these stories don't actually predict events. They are the ones who created it. We'll never know, but man, time machines and being able to manipulate people and make things guaranteed or certain, you would be just like Biff from Back to the Future, where you would have a sports almanac and put all the right bets in the right spots. You'd even want to win the lottery if you knew the exact numbers. And then you would say, that's not fair, that's rigged, people are cheating. But how is it cheating when they have a time machine? But about treating people, we had a lot of thoughts about why it's important, even if it's juicy chisme, gossip, to really not talk ill about others. I think that theme always hits me, and it's because I wish people would treat each other more respectfully, but at the same time not compromise who they are and be subversive or subordinate to each other. We're all equal, and we all are trying to learn our best to help grow a community. So, the chisme is if someone is really rude and mean, do they deserve to be cursed at and have feelings in your thoughts to say that I hope they get into a car accident, or that, someone really important in their life goes away? I think that the whole phrase, I wouldn't even wish that on my worst enemy, would be really pertinent or appropriate, because what you put out there in the world eventually makes a 360 and comes back around to you. And I don't think people understand that. How are you going to take in poison and expect someone else to die for you when you're the one who's allowing it to be within? You gotta let it out. You gotta set it free, and then you'll be free. And you can move on to improving yourself and focusing on positive aspects of your life. That's why I think there was a quote about, it's none of my business what other people think about me. I think it was probably said by a famous singer, and that's fine. And then we also wanted to talk about, because we play a sort of artificial augmented reality simulator on our phone, where we use it to exercise, and it's really fun. It's called Pokemon Go, and we love it when people, they get on their phone like that, and there's a courtesy where when you invite people, you give them plenty of time by communicating to them when everyone's all ready. You don't just invite each other when there's only 10 seconds left, and then you feel that you're excluded from the experience. And that's the thing, is that people shouldn't feel like they're excluded from an opportunity. We're in a progressive society where we should be able to have inclusion of everyone who is voluntarily committed to wanting to bring an experience up. And that is why I am so stoked for Space Jam 2. Space Jam 2 has a lot of diverse people. Their cast was specifically chosen so that people were able to follow their dreams. Space Jam 1 had a lot of white people. I'm just gonna be straight up. I love Bill Murray, but when you have Bill Murray and that guy from Jurassic Park 1 and Wayne Knight, it's dope. I heard they get Steve Harvey as well as Don Cheadle, and I love those actors, those people.
And a couple from the basketball team with LeBron James. So it won't be like in the first one, Michael Jordan's the only black character in the whole movie.
So
except the Looney Tunes, I don't know if the voices were black people, but yeah.
All right. So thank you for listening to our 2 cents about what we think the industry needs to move towards.
2 cents.
And that's get everyone on board. Stop excluding us from an opportunity. We want to play too. All right.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time. The link should be right here. Yep. Right where Mikkel's head is. Yeah. Or down here. Where's the stomach or something right there. Yeah. All right. Until next time. Bye-bye.